It's the second look, another new video show from the Anfield app with me, Gareth Roberts, guests today, Paul Cope and Johnny Milburn. And it does what it says on the tin, really. We're going to take a second look at Liverpool's win over West Ham United at Anfield, 4-0. A great win, a great afternoon. We were all at the game, but the dust settled since then. And what we're going to do is we're not going to go through minute by minute. What we're going to do is pull a couple of things out to talk about, really. Lots of good play yesterday, lots of good players as well. Naby Keita's getting a lot of the headlines. He's front page of a pull out there in the Times. But I think maybe one that isn't being talked about as much, and a player I want to focus on today in this show is James Milner. We're going to have a look at a graphic here about how he got on. You can see there, played the 90 minutes. He gets an assist, 3 key passes, 3 crosses, 3 long balls, 2 through balls. He has a shot, 102 passes, 93.1% pass success, and loads of successful passes in the opponent's half as well. I think you could see early on, couldn't you, Johnny, that he was sort of on it. And I think all summer as well, he's looked good in the pre-season. And there's little bits and bobs that we've heard as well. I mean, you know, we have Steve Warnock on the Pro View on the podcast, and I was actually speaking to him over the summer trying to get an interview with James Milner. And he said he was having like sort of double sessions with a physiotherapist. He was doing his own fitness program. And whereas a lot of footballers might be on holiday, it's quite clear Milner was determined and is determined that he's playing in this first 11 on a regular basis.
Yeah, it started, we saw the first day back at pre-season and you saw him doing that version of the bleep test and he absolutely bossed fellas who were 10 years younger than him, and he absolutely bossed. He's clearly the fittest lad they've got in the team. Absolutely brilliant, and I think he's taken that into the season. He's claimed a place in the starting 11 in a team that's embarrassed with riches, particularly in midfield. To claim a starting berth in the opening game of the season, he's done incredibly well. And then you watched how he started the game. He started like a steam train. Yeah. I think he had 2 or 3. He could have had 2 or 3 assists before the goal, actually. And so the tempo that he played the game at, he was winning tackles, creating chances, and but for slightly better touches on by the centre forwards, we could have had 3 goals in the first 20 minutes, all designed and architected by James Milner. Yeah,
it was interesting, wasn't it, where some of the positions he picked up in the game. I mean, I think when you first looked at it and you saw the team on paper, you maybe thought Milner would be quite deep, he'd be in quite a defensive role, and yet it was anything but, really. He was up and down, but I mean, he was out wide, as Johnny mentions, he's whipping in balls. There is 2 before we scored a goal. There's 1 through to Mane over the top that he maybe could have got on the end of, didn't quite get there. There's a ball that he whips in that both Salah and Firmino nearly get on the end of, but it's a cracking ball. But also as well, it's not just about that. I mean, I noticed that he was, he was talking a lot. He was talking a lot to Trent. I don't think it was really Trent's afternoon in terms of deliveries and crosses. Some of them went a bit wayward, but you could see Milner talking to him all the time and saying, you don't have to always go first time with your crosses, that type of thing. And he doesn't end with the armband because Henderson comes onto the pitch, but it was a captain's performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was incredible. He's my man of the match, to be honest. I mean, that sounds harsh because Mane scored 2 and probably deserves it for that alone. But aside from the goals, I think he's incredible, and all the stuff you talk about there, Johnny, with the pre-season bleep tests and all the rest of it. This sounds very cliched and type of stuff you can imagine all the coaches say about him and everyone who's ever played with him. But he just sort of puts other players to shame. It was funny watching the likes of Jack Wilshere, who full of himself, loves talking about himself. And I kept saying to the lads after the match, I wonder how many times Milner ran past him and went, "You still smoking, mate?"
I was Vegas lad.
Yeah, still going to Vegas. Yeah, and it was even things like, you saw, there's been reports about Sturridge getting himself in shape and he's going on a clean diet and all that. And you can see it's all new stuff. And I can imagine James Milner being like, been doing that for 20 years, lads. Mm-hmm. That's why at 32 I'm still the fittest here. It's a brilliant example of what you can do if you really focus on being a professional and how you can still differentiate yourself from, as you say, players 10, 15 years younger than you.
And one example to all these young lads, this is how you have longevity in your career, and this is how you win things, and this is how you still get selected when you're heading into your 30s. Like,
I think he is a great example, and that the goal that he sets up I think it's a bit of a miss across from Robertson, isn't it? And I think a lot of players probably would have looked at that and thought, that's gone, that's out. And he chases it down, he keeps it in on the line, he gets it across, and it's a tap in, and it's a lovely goal, it's a lovely assist. It was a little bit sort of almost shades of McMahon, where he sort of he keeps it in against Arsenal. And Liverpool end up scoring from it. And he is setting an example here, isn't he? I mean, I think what's interesting about Milner for me is that he's continually written off by people, I think. And I think, this season, when before a ball was kicked and people are drawing up the first 11s and that sort of thing, Milner's probably not in it for a lot of people. And yet, here he is again, he's in the side, and he's constantly sort of reinventing himself as well, isn't he? I mean, I think in his career, he's played literally every position bar goalkeeper. And it's like sort of every season he's written off, but no one tells him he's written off. Yeah. And here he is, 32, 33 in January, and he's still going.
And it's a mad cliche, but most cliches are cliches because they're true. It's a squad game, isn't it? And from he's commanded his place for the opening game of the season. But across this season, if we're going to go deep in multiple competitions, we're going to need to use all that midfield. And I think from his point of view, he's going to give Klopp a headache because, as you say, if other people think this is the end of James Milner's career, he's got something to say about that. And I don't think he's given up it lightly. So
there's another thing here as well, Copey, about and this came through another little source. We're not normally one to talk about. We have sources and we get told things. We don't really. We're just fans who go to match, but we hear the odd little snippets, and we did hear that over the summer, or certainly before the squad was announced, that Gareth Southgate repeatedly was ringing James Milner and trying to get him to come out of retirement for the World Cup. Yeah. And
he was there yesterday, Southgate, as well, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And he said no. He said no over and over. And I think, he started the season like the way he has, and that sort of justifies why he decided after, I think it's 60 caps, that he knocked England on the head.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because as Johnny was talking then, I'm thinking, James Milner's the experienced head in this squad now. And when he looks at this squad, he's thinking what we're all thinking. He's thinking, you're all going to write me off. Yeah. And not only am I not in the first choice midfield, I'm probably not in the first 5 or 6. We've got all these new lads. And it was interesting seeing Klopp say that after he'd split his head open in the friendly, the first thing he said to Klopp after the game was, I'll be all right for Sunday. Yeah. I'm fine, don't worry about it. And he had this headband on, and it was about like 10 minutes into the match, a ball dropped out the sky, and he went and won the header, and I thought, that's the last thing you need today, isn't it? But that just sums him up as well, that he's gone, how do I get in this team? This is how this works. I get in, I come back early, I get fit, I know I'll get a chance because Hendo and a few of the others, Fabinho's new, Hendo's been away at the World Cup, I get in. And when I'm in, you've got to shift me now. And that's his attitude, and that's why he's going. Doesn't matter if I've got 15 stitches in my head, I'm still going to play. And there are other players in the squad who can learn a lot from that, because that's literally how this works. You've got to do that. You've got to be prepared to push through the pain barrier, because someone will take your place otherwise. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing as well is just having them round as well. I mean, as I say, for some fans, you see people, the usual on Twitter and things like that, who don't rate him, don't like him, seem to take any opportunity to have a go at him. I think most Liverpool fans, though, do value him now. And I think there was some concerns he was coming here a little bit late in his career and things like that. But you've seen over the summer as well that he takes some of the younger players under his wing. I remember I read something in the Echo about it, and the young lad Nat Phillips, the centre half, he's been talking to him a lot about what it takes and all the rest of it. As you said before, his preparation and things like that will rub off as well, won't it?
Well, absolutely. And I think we're going into a football season now. We've laid down a marker with a statement. When I said before the game, I said nobody's really yet made a statement this weekend. And if Liverpool can go and win 3-4, then it's a marker. It's a message to the rest of the league. And what these lads are going to need, because we have got on balance quite a young team. We're going to need people like James Milner to be there, because things will get tough. We will have injuries, we will have setbacks as the season goes on, and have somebody who's been round the course several times and who can help people mentally more than anything with the things that will happen during this season that will feel catastrophic to the team, to young lads, even to us, even our lasses like me will feel, oh my God, this is terrible, the world's falling in. You need somebody like James Milner with his arm around these young players saying, this happens and this is what we do. I think he's going to be absolutely invaluable. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him, the role he's got in this team.
I mean, he's played, Paul, 486 times in the Premier League now. He's won the Premier League twice as well with Manchester City, as well as a couple of other cups. That's important as well, isn't it? I mean, look, you know, we talk every year, we want us to win the league, obviously, you know, this is our year and all that, blah, blah, blah. But to have someone in the dressing room, on the training ground, who has done it, who knows what it takes, and as Johnny says, you know, can see ups and downs when people maybe need a little bit of an arm round. Again, that's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something we've missed for a long time, isn't it? Is someone with that experience to win a league. And aside from the manager who's won in another country, is there anybody else in the entire squad who's got that experience? So that's crucial and will be crucial, as Johnny says, as the season goes on, because as much as you've got players in here who, and I think we were really excited before the game. I don't see how you can watch that and not get even more excited. Yeah. But when you've got the likes of Gomez and Trent in there, it's really interesting, because I saw there's a few clips of Van Dijk doing the rounds as well, of literally talking people through the game in no uncertain terms. Exactly that. And when Milner's doing that to Trent as well, that's really important, because it doesn't matter how good Trent is, he's going to suffer this season with, especially if we're winning. We all know that if we want to win the league this season, we're going to have to be incredible week after week after week, and you're going to need level heads like James Milner with all that experience to help the people around him stay calm.
But even if we are incredible week in, week out, there's still a chance, and I was telling Gareth about my anxiety dreams earlier on, that I've had this recurring dream, it's happened twice, that we've got a points total of like low 90s, mid 90s, and City just go on and do it again. And City, maybe Pep Guardiola in both his previous two clubs has won 3 leagues on the bounce. If he goes and does that, we could just be in an era where Liverpool assemble their best Premier League team of all time, and we still don't win the league. So we've got to find other ways to enjoy this. We are playing spectacular football, rivals from the vintage Liverpool teams we've ever had. We've just got to be able to enjoy the spectacle, enjoy the ride, and if it comes with a big silver shiny thing at the end, then I'm obsessed with big silver shiny things, then absolutely fantastic. But if not, we've just got to enjoy the days out. We've got to enjoy, we're playing football that's not been seen at Anfield for a long, long time, and we've just got to get along and get on board and enjoy it.
I couldn't agree more, and I've got the exact same fear. I've been talking about it for months, and watching City against Arsenal, I was like, no. Like I actually have got this fear now that we could win and we could beat City twice and they still win the league because they end up with 108 points. Because when you see them and you're like, yeah, they're good, aren't they? But that's exactly it. You can't go through this. And maybe this is part, because I never used to be like this at all. I was always, no, if without the win, it's nothing. And we've had chats about this stuff before, and maybe it is part of getting a bit older, and you've got to you start looking at things and going, just have a laugh, just enjoy it, enjoy winning 4-0, because it's great watching this Liverpool side.
I think we're in a bracket though with City now where everyone's talking about this fear factor that City have got, and people are turning up and quite happy to walk away defeated. I think a lot of teams are going to come to Anfield this season and say, do you know what, I'll take it. I'll take the loss now. Don't brutalise us. Don't humiliate us. Don't ruin the lad's psyche for the next 10 games. We'll take it 2-0. We'll take it 3-0. There's no shame in losing at Anfield 3-0. We've got a more important game next week, and I think we're in that bracket with City now, and we've got to capitalise on that. And we've got to not draw at home. We've got to turn those draws into wins. And who knows? Almost anything can happen, can't it?
It just feels to me that now that Liverpool have got a bit more of a winning mindset, and I think that is led by someone like James Milner. 133 appearances for Liverpool now, 15 goals, and in the 3 full seasons he's been at Liverpool, he's played 45, 40 and 47 times. So no one's taken James Milner's place easy, and that's how it should be. Next up, we've got Neil, who's going to look at the tactics employed by Liverpool to break down West Ham at the weekend. It was as he predicted pretty much with the lineup, so I know he's pleased about that one. But here he's going to tell you exactly how Liverpool ended up winning 4-0 against West Ham.
So we said we thought West Ham would play 4, Declan Rice, Wilshere, Noble, the 2 wide men and Arnautovic up top. What we got was that Wilshere went a little bit further out than we expected. I thought he would sit in a little bit closer to Rice. And then what Liverpool did as that game wore on was what you saw was there was almost like two different halves of the pitch were opening up for the Reds. So on the right-hand side, we had Trent, we had Milner, and we had Salah looking to get in here. On the left-hand side, Mane at times being really, really wide indeed and then coming in. We've got Robertson and you've got Keita there linking all of this up. Through the middle of the pitch, you've got Wijnaldum and Firmino. They were critically important because they were shifting the ball from left to right. And if you just look here, there's Wilshere, there's Rice, there's Noble, there's the wide man on that flank, here's the fullback, and there's the centre-half. The centre-half and the fullback, they're obsessed with what Salah's doing. And what that means is that there's these lads here, if on the left-hand side Anderson doesn't track his run, Liverpool are able to overload on the left, and Wilshere wasn't much help throughout the course of the game, leaving Rice and Noble, first half especially, absolutely overloaded. But then the same thing was happening on the other side. You might think if they've got 11 behind the ball, how can Liverpool overload? How can Liverpool put that much doubt in West Ham minds? Well, on this side, this centre-half's worrying about Firmino. As I say, you've got Noble or Rice worrying here. Keita's suddenly here. And now you get this little situation where they're overloaded. Someone's got to come out there. And Liverpool went from one flank to the other, one flank to the other. What's also interesting about Liverpool's approach is, as I say, Mane got chalk on his boots for 15 minutes, and we talked about that on the review show. So what you were left with here was Keita coming here, Robertson coming here and attacking this space. Whereas on this side, Salah wants to be here, so it's not symmetrical. Milner and Alexander-Arnold both whipped some fantastic balls over during the game. Milner more than Alexander-Arnold, but Alexander-Arnold was constantly a threat on the outside if he wasn't going to be tracked. So that whole first half felt like Liverpool, they had too many men on this side of the pitch for West Ham to deal with, too many men on this side of the pitch for West Ham to deal with, and when they needed to, Salah comes in here, Firmino comes in there, Keita comes in there, Robertson comes in there, and as we saw for the second goal, Mane's there, there's Milner, knocks it back, Liverpool go 2-0 up, the game is over. They outmanned West Ham in these positions despite West Ham having 11 behind the ball. That's how you outthink an opponent, and Liverpool's players, the manager, they'll be really pleased with all of that.
Okay, that was Neil with his tactics there, and if you like that, give it a bit of love, because there's people being a prick about it on the internet. Like they are, so you know. But I think it's better than Andy Townsend's tactics, so you know what I mean, give it a bit of love. But we've got something else we want to talk about in the second half, and that is Andrew Beasley, who you may know from Twitter, Base Tune to Red on Twitter. He's always got something interesting to say about football and about Liverpool, and now he's got a column for the Liverpool Echo, so fair play to him. So I don't want to sort of read out his whole column, because I encourage you to go to the Echo and actually read his piece. You know, he's produced an original piece of journalism, and I don't want to just rip it off, because there are people who do that out there, and we're not one of them. I've had loads of pops at people in my little intro there. I'm really made up with that. But yeah, in his piece, what he's saying is, and it is interesting, there's basically never been so many shots from inside the 6-yard box in a Jürgen Klopp league game. And, you know, we're into the hundreds, or over 100 now, league games under Jürgen Klopp. So that's really interesting. And what he says is, in total, the Reds had 6 shots from inside the 6-yard box. Salah and Mane each had a pair. Sturridge and Firmino had 1 each. He says, you know, on the surface, that might not sound impressive, but he says, actually, having that many is really rare. He says, for instance, Liverpool averaged 1.2 shots from 6 yards or closer last season. And also referenced that Manchester City, who obviously won the league, were only averaging 1.5, and other top clubs, such as Munich 1.4, Real Madrid 1.3. So it does hint at maybe a little bit of a tweak there, a little bit of sort of guidance maybe from the manager, that he doesn't want players sort of blamming shots from distance and that sort of stuff. We've seen that in the past, haven't we? You know, it's a mentality thing as much as anything, maybe, where sides will come to Anfield all season and set up deep, try and frustrate. And maybe what he's saying to them is, rather than just have a shot and create any chance, create a good chance.
Yeah, it reminded me of, we talked on the review a couple of years ago probably now, about an interview that Pep Linders did. And he was talking about the quality of the chances that you're trying to create, because he was sort of saying what fans expect and what TV pundits expect is just to have loads of shots. My dad's one of them, just loves people having loads of shots. And what he was saying is, we don't want to be having loads of shots that are 5 or 6 out of 10 in quality terms. What we want is a few shots that are 8, 9s and 10s out of 10 for quality. And this is what we're starting to see now. So I think this is just another example of how season on season, you're getting better at doing this thing. And that first goal we scored, I've been banging on about this for years as well, about the way Man City play, and they have done for years, even before Guardiola, where they get into the triangles around the corners of the box, and it's very difficult to defend against. And I was chatting to a City fan down in London last week about Mendy and about the difference he makes to their team and how that strengthens them, because he wasn't there for much last season. And that first goal that we scored was I was screaming it as we scored it. That's a Manchester City goal. And now, when I was watching it back, I was thinking, but the brilliant thing about that is I've been banging on about City for ages because they've been the benchmark. But that's a Liverpool goal now as well. And these stats sort of back that up. That the number of times we were in there, talking about Milner before, I mean, if Trent's crossing was a little bit better, if a couple of times if things had broken better, we could have scored 8 or 9
Easy.
Just off literally chances right in front of the goal. Salah, Mane, Firmino, all having little bits and bobs. And it's the thing, it comes back to Salah this as well, for when people say, will he score the same number of goals? Well, he's still getting in all the same positions, and he missed loads last season, and he got better as the season went on. And when I'm looking at that yesterday, I'm thinking, well, Firmino's touch was out yesterday. He'd have had a couple if his touch was in. And it'll be interesting to see how this progresses, because obviously City were great last year and only averaged out at 1.5. But to start your first home game with 6 in that area of the pitch is just phenomenal.
And it's important, isn't it, Johnny, like I say, that they do need to dream up different ways of basically winning football matches, because we drew 7 at home last season in the league, which is too many. It's too many drop points, especially when we see in the standard that City set, and we talked about that in the first half. So it is important that, I mean, look, expected goals isn't for everyone, but what's interesting about this match is basically it was right.
Because, it's spot on, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the expected goals were Liverpool score 4, and they did. And the expected goals were that West Ham score none, and they didn't score.
0.6, I think, was there.
So that's interesting in itself as well, because I don't know, I think there's probably something in what Paul's saying, in that you actually see Pep Linders go and sort of seek Klopp out after one of the goals and almost high-fived him. And I saw that and I thought, is that them going, that's what we did in training? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But the XG thing is not for everyone, and it's much maligned. But one of the things that's in Andrew's piece in the Echo, he talks about, like, literally, the closer you get to the goal, the more chance there is it's going to go in. And XG supports that as well. And it's just basic physics and linking into the Pep Linders piece. If Liverpool have made a conscious decision that instead of pot shots from 18 yards, we're going to try within 9 yards, let's say, we could see a shitload of goals this season from this Liverpool team. And it's much, the defensive decisions you make 9 yards from goal or 8 yards from goal are much more panicked and rushed than decisions that you're making as a defender on your 18-yard line. Do you know what I mean? So you're much more likely to invite mistakes from the other side as well when you're that close to goal. So it's really, really exciting times. I thought we've not mentioned Keita so much, but some of the interplay between Keita and certainly Firmino, I think I agree with your point. It felt like Firmino's touch was just 0.5% off. On other days, that's going to stick like glue to the end of his boot. This Liverpool team are a really, really exciting prospect, particularly at home, and it's really, really exciting times.
Absolutely, and if you want more of that, there is a free Anfield wrap show already out there as a podcast and as a video, so you can watch that. There is a review out there as well, which is for tour player subscribers. That's £5 a month. Get involved, subscribe to that. And it's more of this kind of thing. It's more analytical. It's with Sean Rogers, who is a qualified coach. He sits down with Neil every week. It was Ben Johnson on there as well this week. They got into sort of how Liverpool precisely won this game, if you like. And this show is a little bit of a sort of a similar show, but shorter and obviously made for video. As ever, interested in what your feedback is on this show, so let us know. But that has been the first ever second look from the Anfield app.